So here we are, the 10th of October 2022. We've had 7 days of a brilliant demo from Manor itself. There's been a lot of ups and there's also been a lot of downs that I don't think should go unnoticed. So now Manor is gone out of our grasp once again. Was it worth it? Was it really any good? These are my final thoughts on Manor. This video is brought to you by Warhammer, Chaos and Conquest. It is the ultimate strategy and domination MMO mobile game, available on iOS, Android and Windows. Build and train a powerful army by collecting warlords. In the game you're going to find more than 30 demons and warriors of chaos. Have them as part of your army and it will increase your power and strength. Leveling up, upgrading your warlords with special equipment, skills, and dominate the Warhammer universe. Your mission is to bring chaos to the old world. For you to succeed, you'll need to devote to the chaos gods, participating in quests. There's special events, daily challenges to conquer other chaos armies and slay your enemies to claim all the rewards possible. Warhammer, Chaos and Conquest is a fantastic real-time strategy and MMO experience. You're able to compare yourself against other people by climbing the leaderboard and claiming the Chaos Legion Master title to become the Ever Chosen. So make sure you scan the QR code on screen or click the link in the description to go and check it out for you today. On the 3rd of October, we actually got our first demo. Now, this game was announced a couple years ago, and many people have been waiting for some sort of proper gameplay. We've seen bits and pieces here and there, but it was never really satisfying what many people wanted. They wanted to get their hands on it. There was also talk of whether this was really as legit as people were thinking. It always comes hand in hand with a game that gets really hyped up and a game that gets people's attention. People start to wonder, this is probably going to be a disappointment. Or even worse, is this going to be a scam? Now, that can't be helped because there have been other games that have tried to copy Manor and get on that bandwagon, which subsequently have given Manor a bad name because they have turned out to be scams. Manor is very basic in this demo stage. In terms of content, you have about 6 or 7 hours. You can push it further, but that's when you really start to see the flaws that have been sometimes purposely and sometimes not purposely put into the title. Saving, or should I say the lack thereof saving, was actually intentional. Whilst at first it was kind of annoying, you know, spending all your time working on this little village and then eventually you kind of want to have a break, but you know you can't because there won't be any game left and you have to start all over again. Yeah, that can be annoying, but when you actually get to those late stages, when you get 200-300 people in your settlement, that's when you start to see that Manor was not built for that many people, or at least not this demo version. It's very clear that the lack of saving was to stop people from breaking the title, as these late stage things aren't ready yet. Graphically, I think it's pretty much resounded. This game is goddamn gorgeous. Having this weird mode where you can go into a third-person walk around of your manor, or your village, I should say, is brilliant. Something that was not needed, but makes for such a big difference in immersion. You spend hours building this town, and you have your villages, and then you can start walking among them and actually see the houses as the people in there would see, the farms, the mines, the traders, and it really, really helps immerse you and makes you feel attached to something that you've built. This is yours and you can walk around it. Not only this, as a side note, I think this is one of the most beautiful cape simulations that I've ever seen, and it's in a goddamn city builder. And this is something we see over and over again. Slavic Magic has put so much attention to detail into every aspect. Whilst it isn't perfect and it is rough around the edges, what we cannot deny is the amount of love that's been put into it. From anything like mud, puddles swelling up on muddy tracks when it starts to rain, the slow coming in of thunder and snow when it starts to become winter. You see the animations of people chopping wood, hunting, working at the tavern or tanning leather, farming, and it looks gorgeous. It's not perfect. You will see people walking around with invisible flour bags or invisible logs, and it does take you out of it a little bit, but that's the beauty of adding this as a demo. People came into this not expecting a full or even slightly polished game. They just wanted to know that this game is being worked on and it exists. Yeah, it's been years and years after we saw the first trailers, but on the whole, this has been worked on by one person with various help here and there, but this is the love child of a single figure. And that can't be forgotten when taking into account what this game is accomplishing. Overall, the demo reached over 300,000 people, which for a one-man team indie game is almost almost unheard of. It was the shining star of Steam Next Fest. It actually wasn't going to become a demo for this Next Fest. Hooded Horse recently acquired them as the publisher. Now, I'm assuming, knowing Hooded Horse, that they don't really have much say about what goes on in terms of game content, but they encouraged Slavic Magic to release this as a demo to really ramp up the hype, and I am so grateful that they did, because ramp up the hype they did. And what's even better is there's no false hope here. We get a clear and consistent message that this is a city builder that is coming and it is living up to all the expectations. Now, one thing that many complained about, we didn't get the battle modes. There's a feature that a lot of people are looking forward to. Slavic Magic has stated many times that it isn't the main feature of Manor and that it will be an extra add-on, almost to enhance your city building experience, but I think a lot of people secretly want that to be the main feature. We've seen city builders over and over again. Total War has sort of taken the RTS crown of these real-time battles, but never really seeing them being combined into one. That's something that is still unseen, but Manor Lords is hoping to do that. We've had our hands on the city building portion, and it's gone pretty well. We've also seen some gameplay of the RTS version, but I think that's the next thing that needs to come in. So what's holding it back? Well, we don't know for sure, but my predictions and from what I experienced playing the demo is this. The demo isn't very well optimized. At the start, it does run pretty well. They have NVIDIA DLSS, which really helps, and when you get between 0 and 70 people in your settlement, you're running absolutely fine, even at 4K for me at higher settings. But when we do get into the hundreds of settlers, as mentioned, it starts to lag very hard. The game will chug along, and it won't necessarily crash. I mean, I didn't crash once in this demo, but you could tell it was really struggling. And that's a little bit of a worry for the later portions. You see, these battle modes are going to have to be bigger. They're going to have to be a couple hundred people on the battlefield at once. Of course, we're not going to get anything the size of what Total War gave us, but there is going to have to be a decent amount of troops. And then with settlers as well, they're going to have to really work on optimizing this title to push it to at least a point where it isn't just a disappointing clash of 20 people on either side. They're going to have to really work on making this feel like an immersive battle mode, but with still having those population numbers that the settlements, warrant. Not make any sense if you have a settlement with 200 people and then you go into battle and there's only 10 of you. So that's one of my main worries so far. Optimization. Now, throughout this whole demo, Slavic Magic has been tweeting and doing polls of changes that need to be done. One of the main ones was churches, how they're currently a fixed structure, but hopefully later on will be a morphing free flow state, a bit like when you build a house or a road, where you're able to build the four corners and then it creates the building inside it. One of the big features in terms of population that keeps coming up is the family system. When you build a new house and someone joins, they actually join with the whole family, and that family will work on the jobs that you set them to. I'm not too keen on this, and I think a lot of people aren't too keen on it either. I think it would be much better if it was counted as individual people. A bit like a game like Austria, the city builder that does a lot of similar things to Manor Lords, but they have a system where a family will join you, but each individual person within that family will be counted. Men, women, children, and it will show your total population and then the breakdown of sexes and ages. I really think this needs to be done in Manor Lords. The family system is a kind of a unique idea, but I think it's unique for a reason. I don't quite think it works. It's quite hard to micromanage your village when you're selecting a worker for a certain job and then a whole family comes over and does it. I'd like to be able to see, okay, I want to select a worker for this job and then an individual person comes over to do that. That's just my opinion. I've seen a lot of people that are also along a similar lines, but I'd like to see how this family system is evolved if they decide to carry on with it. But personally, I don't think it's the best decision for managing population within a game like this. Another thing that I'd kind of like to be changed is the way that the houses are placed down. As mentioned, you have this freeform building mechanic. You build the four corners and houses are built in the middle. It can be one big house or a few small ones, but there's no way to actually determine how that's going to work out. The game just says, okay, I can put 3 houses here, or okay, I can put 1 big house here, and that doesn't really make all that much sense to me because you can never work out what it's going to choose. I'd love a button to be able to decide how the houses are laid out. For example, once you click your 4 corners, you can see a build button or you can see a rotate button. Having another button that said, okay, we can split this into 3 plots, 2 plots, or 1 big plot, which one do you want to do, and be able to switch between them. That would be ideal for me. I'd love to be able to do that, and it would really help with creating these more picturesque, beautiful villages, because I put it in a video. That video might go out before or after this one, but in that video I see how far you can push this freeform building mechanic, and it seems pretty much as far as you want to. I built houses that had backyards as long as a marathon, and it looked ridiculous, but it was possible. Maybe that's a limit that needs to be put on there. I absolutely adore the free-flowing building, but there should probably be some limits to how big you can make these plots, because the game doesn't quite understand it, and it will have one house with a small chicken coop and a backyard that stretches for miles with nothing in it. And yeah, it's fun to do, but it doesn't really make sense within what the game is trying to accomplish, which is a realistic medieval city builder. So what's next for Manor Lords? One of the main things that I'm very conscious of making this video is it's really hard to give a true opinion on the title as a whole. We've played the demo. I've played 20 hours of a game, and it's a small portion of the game. Yeah, I probably overdid it a little bit. Please don't judge me, but I was really enjoying myself. The game doesn't have too much content in. There's very little in terms of trading, and there's no diplomacy at all. You can't buy or build in other regions yet, even though they're teasing it. There's whole technology trees that aren't open to us, so there's a ton more content coming for even just the city builder portion, and that's not even taking into account that there's a full RTS battle mechanic with diplomacy and going to war against other factions and nations. There's so much content that's on its way, and it's giving me some strange thoughts. On the whole, I'm incredibly excited. If everything is done to the same standard as what we saw in the demo, obviously a little bit more polished, but with the same love and affection, this could be one of the best city builders of all time, if not the best city builder of all time. However, it is going to take a while. There's so much content coming, and I don't think we're going to be getting our hands on the true full form of Manor Lords even within the next few years. Maybe an early access version, whether that'll be the right idea, I guess that's for Slavic Magic and Hooded Horse to decide, but boy, it may take a billion years, but I cannot wait for the next version of Manor Lords.
Oh, and go and check out Warhammer Chaos and Conquest. It's the ultimate strategy game. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description.